What's up guys, Alvaro here. Welcome to the Bilingual Stock Market channel again. On this channel we talk about the markets and we do it in English and Spanish as well so you can pick your preferred language. And in this video I want to go over the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 in order to try to figure out what direction the markets could be potentially taking in the upcoming week. And at the end of the video, I will be breaking down from a technical standpoint 3 stocks that are reporting earnings in the upcoming week and that in tomorrow's trading session are going to be on the very top of my personal watch list. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. And mind you guys, next week we are going to have a bonanza of earnings reports, mostly reports of, we're going to see a lot of earnings reports of small cap stocks. This is going to be a very interesting week, no doubt about it. So tomorrow, AMC Entertainment reporting after close. That's one of the stocks that I am going to break down from a technical standpoint in this video. And before open, we have Workhorse. This is going to be interesting. How much cash is Workhorse burning as of now? Is Workhorse burning less cash than before? That is something that we will figure out, that we will find out in tomorrow's trading session before open. Then on Tuesday, guys, before open, I don't see anything interesting over here. Cisco is reporting earnings before open, and after close, FUBOTV, another stock that we are going to go over in this video. Then also we have Coinbase, Upstart, and what else? McAfee is also reporting earnings on Tuesday after close, and I don't see anything over here about, other than those stocks. Then on Wednesday, we have before open Hyliion. Hyliion is a company that is still at a early stage of development. I think that Hyliion makes some money, a little, but they are actually, I think that they are actually making some money. So that is going to be an interesting earnings report to be seen. And we also have EVgo. This is a very interesting earnings report, guys. EVgo, and I have said this plenty of times here on the channel, this is a very well-established company that has commercial operations in several countries. So let's see how EVgo has been doing lately on Wednesday before open. Then after close, NIO, Clover Health, Opendoor, eBay, and we also have Lordstown Motors, Fraudstown Motors. This company was actually going bankrupt, right? So, what is Lordstown Motor going to be reporting on Wednesday? We also have Bumble. And what else do I see over here after close? And I think, guys, that NIO is going to, and NIO is another stock that I am going to go over in this video. And they should be reporting very good earnings. This is a company that is growing at an unbelievable pace. Then on Thursday, we have Palantir, we have Baidu. This is going to be another very interesting report, Baidu. This is a stock of a company that makes a lot of money and that as of now is trading way off its highs. What else do we have on Thursday before open? Nothing else. Then on Thursday, Walt Disney. Very interesting. We have Context Logic. We have Airbnb, Rocket Company, SoFi, Sundial Growers. Oh man. I can see a lot of people suffering on Thursday after close. Let's see if Sundial was able to improve the way that this company is burning cash. So we are going to find that out on Thursday after close. What else do we have on Thursday? DoorDash. And then on Friday, there's nothing interesting that I can see over here. Let me see. No, nothing interesting. So in summary, guys, this is going to be a very interesting week in terms of earnings reports when it comes to small cap stocks. And if you ask me about what are the most interesting earnings that are coming out next week, I would say NIO. I also want to see Coinbase. This is a money-making machine. FUBOTV. Let's see, can Fubo actually boast a profit for the first time ever? So I would say that Fubo, Coinbase, and NIO are the most interesting earnings reports, and Palantir, arguably, Baidu. Yeah, we have a lot of very interesting earnings reports in the upcoming week, so watch out for this. And when it comes to the S&P 500, guys, Now let's break down some technicals. The S&P went up on Friday 0.17%, but take a look at what happened, guys. So we had a very solid day for the financial sector, for materials, and for the energy sector. And the technology sector underperformed the markets on last Friday. So what I said in the video that we posted on Thursday ended up playing out. So on Friday morning at 8:30 a.m., we had a way better than expected jobs report for the month of July, and that ended up affecting growth-oriented stocks. And that was expectable, guys, because so we had, let me see over here, I have a note over here. So the jobs report came out at 943,000 new jobs created during the month of July, whereas the analysts were expecting 875,000 new jobs created during the month of July. So we had, as I just said, a way better than expected jobs report for the month of July, and that is a sign that the economy is, recovering at a, at a fast pace. Let's just put it that way, and that could, lead to inflation. And if we happen to see more inflation than the inflation that the Federal Reserve is, waiting for, then that could force the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates sooner than expected. And if the Federal Reserve happens to raise the interest rates sooner than expected, that is very, but very bad news for growth-oriented stocks, tech stocks, and stocks that trade as of now based on future earnings and revenue. Stocks such as Tesla, NIO, Palantir, you know what I'm talking about, right? And mind you guys, next Wednesday, we have the CPI data coming out at 8:30 a.m. So we're going to have the inflation numbers for the month of July, and that is going to be absolutely important in order to, figure out what direction the markets are going to be taking when it comes to growth-oriented stocks, tech stocks, and higher multiple stocks. And something that you guys have to keep a close watch on as well next week is the 10-year Treasury yield, guys, because the 10-year Treasury yield shot up on Friday just as soon as the jobs report of July came out. So take a look, guys. Before 8:30 a.m. on Friday at 8:25 a.m., the 10-year Treasury yield was trading at 1.25%. And after the jobs report came out, these yields shot up to, at some point it was above 1.30%. And it actually closed last Friday's trading session at 1.30%. But at some point, I think it was at 1.33%. So, as I just said, this is no good news for growth-oriented stocks. And remember, guys, that when the 10-year Treasury yield goes up, that implies that the price of the bonds goes down. And if the price of the bonds go down, that signals that there are inflation fears. So no good news at all for growth-oriented stocks and tech stocks. And this is going to be something to keep a close watch on throughout this week, because as I said before, the sectors that performed the better on Friday were the financial sector, which is a sector that basically benefits from an inflationary economy, materials, which is a sector that basically benefits from the reopening of the economy, and the energy sector, which is also a sector that benefits from an inflationary economy. So we had a situation on Friday in which both the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ 100 went down, whereas the S&P 500 happened to pull off a positive day, nothing crazy, because this index went up only 0.17%, and we didn't see a huge drop in the case of the S&P 500 because the financial sector had a very positive day, and the financial sector is a very heavy and important sector inside the S&P 500. So in tomorrow's trading session, and now talking about technicals, if the S&P happens to pull back a bit, which could be the case, we can see the RSI, the relative strength index of the S&P 500 at 62 points. So we are not overbooked yet. But if we happen to see some sort of drop, the first or the main area of support that I am going to be looking at is going to be 44.15, okay? Write down that number, guys. 44.15 is an area in which the bulls of this index found support on last Thursday, but it is also a former area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of the S&P 500 failed on August 2nd. They also failed on July 27th, and lastly, they failed back on July 23rd. If that area of lower support happens to be broken to the downside, then the next important area of lower support is going to be at around 4,400, also a previous area of support and resistance. And in terms of overhead resistance, we are looking pretty much at all-time high at 4,440 points, which is the new all-time high in the S&P 500. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with this tape. We are on a clear uptrend and we are trading above the moving averages. But mind you guys, if the tech sector, if the 10-year treasury yield keeps on going up, which, as I just said, is a very bad sign from an inflation standpoint, and if the NASDAQ 100 keeps on going down, then these levels of support that I just told you guys about might be broken to the downside throughout next week. So we pretty much are going to depend from a technical standpoint on whatever the NASDAQ 100 does next week. And talking about the NASDAQ 100, this index went down on Friday 0.48%, and it closed last Friday's trading session at 15,109 points. So if I zoom in here on the 4-hour chart, first of all, we can see the RSI at 58 points. It looks very healthy from a technical standpoint. And if I pull up here, guys, the 1-day, 1-minute chart, take a look at how the bulls were able to hold as a lower support 15,000 points, 15,100 points. 15,100 points acted as a lower support twice on last Friday. And after that area of lower support was tested, the bulls managed to climb above that area of support, and they remain trading on last Friday slightly above 15,100 points. So that's a positive sign from a technical standpoint. And if I pull up here the 4-hour chart, so from a support standpoint, guys, no doubt about it, the most important area to keep a close watch on tomorrow and in the course of the upcoming week is going to be 15,100 points, which acted as a lower support, as I just said, last Friday, and it is also a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of the NASDAQ 100 already failed back on July 29th, and they also failed back on July 23rd. If that area of support happens to be broken to the downside, then the next important area of support is going to be at around 15,000 points. 15,000 points, let me draw a line over here, it's an area that already acted as a lower support for the NASDAQ 100 back on August 4th, and it also did it back on August 3rd, but it is also an area that already acted as a resistance for the bulls in the NASDAQ 100 back on July 14th, and it also did it back on July 13th. So those are going to be the most important areas of lower support for the NASDAQ 100, but as I just said, guys, keep a close watch on the 10-year treasury yield. If that yield keeps on going up, I think that the NASDAQ 100 is very unlikely to hold these two areas of lower support in the course of the upcoming week. And from a resistance standpoint, we are looking pretty much at the new all-time high of the NASDAQ 100, which was reached on last Thursday's trading session at 15,184 points. Can the bulls of the NASDAQ 100 take on all-time high in the course of the upcoming week? Yes, they can. And as I just said, the NASDAQ 100 looks very healthy from a technical standpoint because we can see this index still on a clear uptrend and we are trading above the moving averages, and we also can see the relative strength index of the NASDAQ 100 at 58 points. So yeah, this index can take on all-time high, but I don't know. It depends on whatever happens with the 10-year treasury yield, and it also depends, and most importantly, on the CPI data that is coming out on Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If we happen to have a worse than expected CPI data in inflation terms, let's say I am pretty much speculating over here, but if we happen to see an increase of 0.9% or 0.8%, I think that the tech sector is very likely to take a huge hit in the upcoming week or from Wednesday and on. And when it comes to AMC Entertainment, which is going to be the first stock of this video, AMC went down on Friday 2.42% and it closed last Friday's trading session at $32.70. And if we take a look at the last two earnings reports of AMC, we can see that AMC reported earnings back in October of last year, and after that was AMC second to last earnings report, and after that report came out, guys, AMC went up almost 100%, 118%. Was back in October of last year. And AMC's last earnings report came out in May, and after that report came out, AMC didn't do much. It pretty much traded sideways for a few weeks. So what can we expect realistically about AMC reporting earnings tomorrow, guys? Other than the movie theaters here in the US, outside the US, most of AMC Entertainment's movie theaters remain closed. So I think that AMC is going to post a loss, most likely. This company is going to be burning money for quite some time. And let me see if I have the information available here, guys. What are the analysts expecting about AMC? No, I cannot. I don't have that information available. So if AMC happens to burn less money than what the analysts are expecting, that might be a positive catalyst for AMC, because that implies that the reopening of the movie theaters, at least here in the US, is going on the right path, and that could potentially lead AMC Entertainment to start making money, or to start, making a profit sooner than most of the analysts are expecting. So let's see what happens tomorrow after close. We can make the case that since this is the most important stock when it comes to meme stocks, even though we can also make the case that Robinhood is trying to fight with AMC in order to become the most important meme stock out there, but we can expect AMC to be a runner in tomorrow's trading session and into the closing bell. And from a technical standpoint, guys, AMC has been able, or the bulls of AMC have been able to hold a very important area of lower support near $32. $32 is a previous area of lower support that already acted as such for AMC back on July 19th, and it also did it back on July 15th. That area of lower support was broken back on August 4th. The bulls managed to find support at $27.20 approximately, and then they pulled up and they managed to reconquer the area of lower support that I just told you about near $31.50 or $32. So if tomorrow AMC happens to run into the closing bell, which I just said is definitely a possibility, then watch out for the bulls taking on the next important area of overhead resistance for AMC near $38. $38 is an area that already acted as a lower support for AMC back in late July, and it is also a previous area of lower support that already acted as such for the stock of this company back on June 3rd, and it also did it back on June 2nd. So we are talking about a previous area of support that to the upside, that on its way to the upside is going to act as a new resistance for AMC Entertainment. Needless to say that we have the coincidence of the 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart near $38 per share. If that area of overhead resistance happens to be taken on by the bulls, and if tomorrow AMC happens to trade with a higher volume relative to the volume that AMC has been trading with on the last trading sessions, then watch out for AMC making a huge move to the upside and maybe paying a visit to the other important area of overhead resistance for AMC near $46. $46 is an area that already acted as a lower support for AMC back on June 7th, and it also did it back on June 3rd. And on top of that, we also have the coincidence of the 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart near or coinciding actually with a previous area of lower support. So what's out tomorrow for AMC? I think that this stock is going to be a runner tomorrow into earnings, and let's see what happens, guys. Maybe, who knows, maybe AMC can post a, you know, let's just put it that way. Maybe AMC is going to be able to post a better than expected Q2 of this year, you know, in which we can say that potentially AMC burned less money than the analysts are expecting, and that could be a positive catalyst for this stock in order to break this downtrend channel that we can clearly see here on the 4-hour chart. And the second stock of this video is going to be another stock that is reporting earnings this week, FUBOTV. And in the case of Fubo, guys, the stock of this company went down on Friday 0.53%, and it closed last Friday's trading session at $26.21. And I think that Fubo is reporting on Tuesday, yeah, after close. So we have tomorrow AMC, and after close, and on Tuesday we have Fubo as well after close. Can Fubo post a profit, guys? Fubo is a company that is getting closer to profitability. If that happens, if that were to happen on Tuesday after close, we're going to see a huge push to the upside on FUBOTV. And when it comes to Fubo, last two earnings reports, so Fubo reported earnings back on March, and after having reported earnings back on March, the stock of this company fell off a cliff, guys, like literally. We saw a 41% drop after that report came out, and Fubo also reported earnings back in May, and after that report came out, we saw a move to the upside of almost 34%. So anything can happen, like literally anything can happen on Tuesday after close, if we take into account that Fubo has been extremely, but I mean extremely volatile during its last two earnings reports. So if Fubo happens to pull up, guys, in the course of the upcoming week, we have a critical area of overhead resistance near $29. $29 is a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of Fubo already failed. This was back in late July, and they also failed back on June 3rd. And we are also talking about a former area of support that already acted as such for the bulls of Fubo back on June 21st, and it also did it back on June 6th. So that is going to be the most important spot for the bulls of Fubo in the course of the upcoming week, and we can make the case that if Fubo happens to report a better than expected second quarter, then we could see the bulls of Fubo taking on that area of resistance and possibly filling the gap up to the other important area of overhead resistance near $35. $35 is a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of Fubo failed back on June 25th, and they also failed back on June 16th. Or on the flip side, if Fubo happens to drop a lot after earnings, guys, I think that this stock could pay a visit down to $21. $21 is a previous area of lower support that already acted as such for Fubo back in late May, and it also did it back in late April and also back in during the course of April. All right, there was an area of lower support, and we are also talking about a former area of support that already acted as such for Fubo back in November of last year. So I think that, I mean, in my case, guys, this is just me, telling you guys my opinion. If Fubo happens to pay a visit down to $20, I am going to be picking up 100 or 200 shares of Fubo, no doubt about it. In order to try to take a trade up to $28. If I were able, guys, to take a trade on Fubo, picking up shares at $20 and selling out of those shares at $28, I could be potentially making a 26% profit. So if Fubo happens to report worse than expected earnings, I am going to be for sure waiting for the stock of this company at $20-ish approximately, and we can see the RSI of FUBO as of now at 46 points. So it is very healthy from a technical standpoint, so we could see both scenarios, guys, no doubt about it. Either FUBO bursting above $28 after earnings and filling the gap up to $34, or maybe paying a visit down to $20. Pretty much anything can happen in the case of FUBOTV on Tuesday after close, and the last stock of this video is going to be NIO, and I am very confident, guys, that NIO is going to report way better than expected earnings. This company has been executing its business model in China and now in Norway. Now NIO is starting to sell cars in Norway as well, but in China, this company is killing it, guys. The growth of NIO year over year is absolutely mind-blowing, and we have seen during this earnings season that most of the companies that have reported very good earnings have dropped. We have seen that in with a lot of stocks out there, and maybe NIO isn't going to be the exception. So what I want to, the message that I want to get across here is that maybe regardless of whatever NIO reports, because as I just said, I think that NIO is going to kill on earnings in everything, EPS, revenue, deliveries, the whole thing. But we can still see a drop because the markets have been relentless during these earnings seasons when it comes to the results that are being posted. So we have seen a lot of companies posting way better than expected earnings, and the stocks of those companies have dropped a lot. So in the case of NIO, and if we take a look at its last two earnings report, the reaction has been terrible, guys. So NIO reported earnings back on March 2nd, and after that report came out, guys, NIO dropped almost 40%. Jeez, my goodness. And then NIO reported earnings. I mean, its last earnings report came out on April 29th, and after that report came out, NIO dropped 25%. So what would happen, guys, if NIO happens to drop 30%, let's say, after its earnings report comes out? And when is it coming out? I forgot. It is coming out after close on Wednesday. So what could happen if NIO drops 30%? So let me take a look over here, guys. I'm taking, as a reference, NIO's last Friday's closing price at pretty much $44, $43.84. So if we happen to see a drop from this price of a 30%, what are we looking at, guys? $30. Wow, that would $30. I mean, I have nothing else to say, guys. Would any of you buy NIO at $30? I would say that most of you would buy NIO at $30. I don't think that we are going to see such a massive drop after earnings, because I truly believe that NIO is going to kill on earnings. But I don't know, guys, when it comes to the stock market, anything can happen. And from a technical standpoint, guys, and in the upcoming days, NIO is at a very tricky spot. It is trading between the moving averages, the 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart and the 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart. So we have a clear support near $43. $43 is a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of NIO already failed back on April 26th, and they also failed back on April 1st, but we are also talking about a former area of support that already acted as such for NIO back on February 23rd. It also did it back on December 29th, and it also did it back on November 18th of last year. So we are talking about a very important area of lower support, and we can see the RSI of NIO at $44. So we can make the case that NIO looks very healthy from a technical standpoint. However, the RSI isn't that low. So from a relative strength index standpoint, this area of lower support could be broken to the downside, guys, no doubt about it, in which case NIO could pay a visit down to $39, which would be the next important area of lower support, which is an area that already acted as a lower support for NIO back on July 27th, but we are also talking about a former area of lower support that already acted as such for NIO back on December 11th, and also back on on December 1st of last year. However, on the flip side, guys, if the bulls of NIO happen to be able to take on this 180 SMA to the upside, and they also happen to be able to take on the area of $47, which is the most immediate area of resistance that the bulls of NIO are going to have to deal with once the 180 SMA is broken to the upside, then watch out for NIO, guys, making a push higher and possibly paying a visit to the other important area of overhead resistance for NIO near 51 bucks, guys. That's the next task for the bulls of NIO. $51 is a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of NIO failed back on March 1st, actually the day in which NIO reported its second to last earnings report, but we are also talking about a former area of lower support that already acted as such for NIO back on January 6th. So in the case of NIO, anything can happen. I don't see NIO paying a visit down to 30 bucks. So hold your horses, my dear bears out there. I mean, it could happen, but I don't see that happening. I truly believe that NIO is going to report very good earnings. So watch out for NIO, guys, in the course of the upcoming week, either breaking the lower support near $42.50 or $43, or maybe bursting above $47 per share. And with NIO, I am going to wrap up the video. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for hanging out with me once again. Remember, and keep in mind, guys, that here on the Bilingual Stock Market channel, we are posting a stock market update videos Mondays through Thursdays, 3 or 4 hours after the market closes. In those videos, I break down from a technical standpoint both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, but I also break down the stocks and the cryptocurrencies that are on the top of my watch list. So if you want to get all of the notifications of all of our videos in a timely manner, you have to be subscribed to the channel, but you also need to activate the notification bell right up there. Follow us on Instagram as well, guys, at Bilingual Stock Market. On our Instagram account, we are posting news and information on a daily basis, and here and there, when the volatility of the markets lets me do it, I am making call-outs about the stocks that I am about to purchase. And remember that this is the Bilingual Stock Market channel, the YouTube channel in which we talk about the markets, but we do it in English and Spanish as well, so you can pick your preferred language. But most importantly, this is the YouTube channel in which we know that the wonderful world of Wall Street is not for geniuses, it is for entrepreneurs just like you guys and myself. My name is Alvaro, and I will see you guys tomorrow, 3 or 4 hours after the market closes. Peace out, and you guys have an excellent Sunday. See ya.